What's up guys, it's Avery here. Did you win big on crypto, or are you nervous about investing in the cryptocurrency space because of the risks that seem to be associated with it? Well, if you have diamond hands or if you like to hodl, I assume that you don't like paying taxes. I don't like paying taxes, but I do. But there's a way for you to invest in the cryptocurrency space, make big gains, and shelter yourself from a bunch of tax while doing it legally. I'm talking about a cryptocurrency IRA. So let's break this down. Let's talk about the Roth IRA and how it allows you to invest a lot of money and keep it too. So there are a number of different ways that you can invest your money in different type of accounts that you can open. And one of those would be a traditional IRA where you are only taxed at the end when you actually take your money out. So with a traditional IRA, you are not taxed when you put your money in, and there are contribution limits similar to other type of IRAs, but when you put that money in, it is not taxed. It is taxed when you take it out at the appropriate age. So if you're someone who makes a ton of money, a couple $100,000 now, and you're trying to retire early, and you invest in a traditional IRA, and then you take that money out when you're eligible, when you're old enough, and then you won't have crazy high tax because you're no longer earning a lot of money. So in that case, it would make sense for you to invest in that type of IRA. And there's another way to invest would be through a traditional brokerage account. So with a traditional brokerage account, there are no limits to the amount that you can contribute annually, except when you put that money in, it is taxed. It isn't taxed any more than when you earn your income. So from your job, that money is taxed. So that is where it is taxed. And then you put it in, and then after you sell those at any age, it is taxed once again. So there's the most amount of tax, but there are no limits. And the last one would be a Roth IRA. The Roth IRA has a crazy amount of tax benefits. There's a limit of $6,000 if you're under the age of 50 and $7,000 if you're older as of 2021. But that money that you put in is taxed at your current income rate. So if you're expecting your current income to be a lot less than your future income, this one makes a lot of sense for you. So you have that money that you're putting in that is already taxed, and then when you take it out at the appropriate age, it is not taxed. And there are a bunch of other great benefits that I'm going to get into this video all about the Roth IRA. And don't you worry, I'm going to tie this all into a cryptocurrency IRA and how it makes sense. And also don't you worry, I didn't forget to ask you to subscribe if you want to keep building your wealth, and don't forget to turn on those notification bells so you don't miss out on any videos that you do. So you have all those tips for investing in real estate and things that you can do with your money in order to build your wealth. And if you really like hanging out with me here, you might also want to hang out with me in Patreon, so go check that out, sign up, love to hear from you. Let's talk about the Roth IRA specifically, which was brought into play in the Taxpayer Relief Act of 1998, proposed by Senator William Roth. Makes sense, right? Where you can put your money into these retirement accounts, watch it grow tax-free, and take it out tax-free. The first thing that you should know about a Roth IRA is there are contribution limits. You can't put all of your money that you invest into this specific retirement account. You can only put $6,000 if you're under the age of 50 per year, or $7,000 if you're over the age of 50 per year. And this doesn't mean you can open 10 different Roth IRAs and fund them all with $6,000. If you have a Roth IRA that is associated with stocks, you have between that and then your other Roth IRA that is associated with cryptocurrency, a total of $6,000. So make sure if you're investing in one of these type of investment vehicles that you don't go over that limit. The other rule would be income limits. If your modified adjusted gross income is greater than $140,000, you can't invest into this type of investment vehicle. But if you're married, you can go up to $208,000. And I say you can't invest in this type of vehicle, but you're allowed to do it a different way through something called a backdoor Roth IRA, where you convert your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA and pay taxes at that specific time. And then eventually you have that Roth IRA that is growing tax-free, but more on that in a different video. So some other things to know would be that you can't withdraw money until the age of 59 and a half. Well, that's sort of true, but that 59 and a half age is that typical retirement age where you can start withdrawing from those specific accounts. Any of the money that you fund your IRA with, so let's say you put in $6,000 this year and it turned into $10,000, that $6,000 of principal you can always take out. If you withdraw the extra $4,000 of gains, that's where you would get the penalty. And the penalty is, if you withdraw early, would be 10% of the amount that you are taking out. So that can be a pretty hefty penalty depending on the amount of money that you've made. But even better, you can start taking out those increases once you've hit a 5-year period. So if you put nothing else in and it never increased anymore from that $6,000 to that $10,000 and it stayed there for 5 years, you could take all of that out tax and penalty free at that point. And the last thing to know is that any withdrawals from your Roth IRA do not affect your adjusted gross income. So that won't impact you when it comes to your taxes or when it comes to having income limits for various investment vehicles or retirement accounts. The last thing that I want to harp on, and the best thing that is associated with this IRA, is that when you have any transactions within this Roth IRA, they are not taxable events, which is extremely awesome for cryptocurrency IRAs. If you were someone that got in early in Bitcoin and then sold later, you might have made tens, 20, 30, hundreds of thousands of dollars on that cryptocurrency, but then you were taxed at a pretty high rate and had to give a lot of that money back to Uncle Sam. If instead you put that money in the Roth IRA, made those transactions, and then sold them, and then invested them, say, in a different type of cryptocurrency or where else, and kept those in your account, you would not be taxed. You can make trades tax-free. So normally when you make an investment and then you sell it, you are taxed at the capital gains rate dependent on how long it's been there and a couple of other things. But let's keep it simple. You are taxed when you sell a stock. But because you're keeping it in a Roth IRA, you are not taxed. So this video is all about the cryptocurrency IRA, and it is no different from a standard Roth IRA. The difference is you'd be able to buy certain cryptocurrencies as well as precious metals like gold and silver. But when it comes to a Roth IRA, when you're opening them with a place like Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, you're only able to buy stocks and bonds, which are also great things to invest into, but cryptocurrency space is a place where a lot of money could be made, and even more so with that tax-free gains. So when you're opening a brokerage, you want to be able to open a brokerage account where someone has cryptocurrency as an asset that you can purchase with that Roth IRA. So a great brokerage that I use for this would be I Trust Capital. So when I'm immediately taxed from my job, I no longer have to pay tax in that account when I am purchasing my cryptocurrency. So I could make big gains on Ethereum and then buy Bitcoin at the drop, and it won't matter. I will not be taxed other than the one time when I was taxed from my specific job. So it's a great place where you can earn a lot of money and not have to get taxed. I really like using I Trust Capital because it has the lowest amount of fees out of any other cryptocurrency IRAs out there. And if you guys want to use my link in the description below, check it out. You can sign up and you'll get a month free. So there really are two camps when it comes to investing in cryptocurrency. Either you're all in, you put all your money into it and you think it's the best thing ever, and the other camp would be you think it's the dumbest thing ever and you just really don't understand it. And I used to be in the camp of I just don't understand it until I did the research to understand it, and I really do think that it's here to stay. Right now we're at the very beginning of it, even though it's been around for 10 years, but I still think people are just starting to get into it and just starting to understand it. So if you're thinking long-term, retirement account, Roth IRA, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, that cryptocurrency will be worth a lot more. And don't just invest with the typical brokerage, you can also invest in that cryptocurrency IRA to shelter yourself from a lot of those gains. There's still a whole lot of time left for way more people to adopt this space and see the absolute potential that it has to make the world a better place when it comes to currency. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Do you invest in cryptocurrency? Do you invest in a Roth IRA? Do you think that investing in a cryptocurrency IRA would make sense for you? So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share with your friends so more people understand different types of investment vehicles and things that they can do with their money in order to build their wealth. Thanks again for watching, and hope to see you guys next time.